Hey guys, welcome back to another Friday episode of the Average Money Podcast, where you, the listener, can call in and leave a question that Brad and I give our opinions on. This can be lifestyle related, family related, or even financial related. Whatever type of question you guys may have, you guys can leave it for us to answer. If you guys are new here, my name is JJ. This is the Average Money Podcast, and I am joined, as always, on these wonderful Friday episodes with the man himself, the new setup, and also just hit 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. Brad Finn, how's it going, buddy?
I wish I had that button where it's like, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no, 50,000. I think as of recording this, I'm not going to flex, but I think 52 now.
Whoa. See, now hang on real quick.
Yeah.
Isn't it nuts how like kind of the exponential growth of YouTube happens, dude? It's unreal. And you have like these ebbs and flows. I get it. But there's these sometimes where, I mean, views are coming nonstop, subscribers are coming nonstop, and trust me, dude, don't lie to the listeners. It's a damn good feeling, is it not?
Oh, it is, and I'm not sure that I'm at like exponential growth. I think I'm having a good run. So actually, the last 6 weeks I've been very blessed, and the growth of the channel, the YouTube algorithm, and we've talked before about how it will turn around. But yeah, no, if you're a YouTube creator, you know, like, you go through these periods where every time you put a video out, you know it's just going to just do well. And I'm definitely in that piece. And side note too, as well, I love recording these and like knowing when they're going to come out. When we're listening to this, I'm at your house.
Yes, sir.
Not right now, but when this episode is released, I'll be in Missouri, which is somewhere in the middle of the country.
Yeah, you never know where it's at, to be honest. Let's be honest.
No, I have no idea. I asked you if it was cold there. I didn't know.
Oh, Jesus.
What do you got, man? We got a voicemail tonight?
Well, we got a good one today, and I'll be honest with you. Once you hear this one, because here's the thing, guys. I know we've said this before, but Brad and I listen to the voicemails, but I kind of sometimes will throw random ones at Brad just because, I don't know, it's fun and see what Brad comes up with, to be honest. This one's more towards you, man. This question's more of a Brad Finn question than JJ, to be honest.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. But I know you'll nail this one because you and I talk about this a lot too. And to be honest, I don't really know much about this question, so I'm kind of excited to get your point of view on it and to be able to ask questions as someone who knows nothing really. I mean, I know a little bit about it, but I don't know the details about it whatsoever. So it'll be a good one for the listeners, I think, who are in this position. You guys will kind of find out, or you'll probably tell from the title, maybe.
I think I know which one it is. And
okay.
The other beautiful thing is we're getting so money, guys. Please keep like the person. If I'm right, the person that is hearing this is like, I left this voicemail like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, because I kind of think, all right, just go play it, and then we'll let it rock.
All right, so today's voicemail comes from Autonomous. Oh, wait, no, Anonymous or Autonomous?
It was
Autonomous?
It's Anonymous, and I know who it is. Yep, play it.
Hey, Brad and JJ. I am a teacher in New York, and I found some information on Brad's YouTube channel, but I'm curious about your thoughts on 403Bs and 457s and some of the asinine fees they charge and the way that they have so many vendors at a lot of schools instead of just one like at most companies. If you could talk about that, I'd really appreciate it. Happy New Year.
She said Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So we apologize. Like I said,
Yes.
We are kind of coming first come, first serve here. And
real quick, Brad, before you get started on that, because you're going to kind of take this one over. I do want to say, please, if you guys have a question, with anything, please leave a voicemail. I get DMs a lot on Instagram. I get questions on Facebook. I get questions on the Average Money Facebook group. We get questions on the Discord, Average Money Discord. And I always tell people that ask us questions, I'm like, this would be a banger voicemail question if you could just call in and leave it.
And we did get a bunch front loaded. That's like what she just said. And we said Anonymous. I know you were in the Facebook group, but I don't remember what you said your name was off the top of my head. But we did get a ton up front. So they are kind of like, we still have a bunch to go, but the frequency of them coming in. So yeah, if you have a question, please bring it in, and I'll get us started. First off, great usage of asinine. I love that's a New Yorker there, because you know that's the kind way of being like, you effing idiot, you know. But I'll start right from jump. So we have these employee sponsored plans, And I think the most popular one is going to be the 401k. Now, right off the bat with the 401k, it's employee sponsored, meaning you have to have like a W-2 job. Your job creates that. They set it up within their human resources. And oftentimes with the 401k, you only have one option. All right. And these come with their benefits. You don't have as many options, but there's generally going to be an employee match, which is going to be unlike the 403B and 457 I'll get to. But as a school teacher, so if you are a government worker, or you work in a hospital, you work for a nonprofit organization, you're a cop, sanitation, fire department, you probably don't have access to a 401k. Those are probably going to be more of the private sector, not the public sector. So as a school teacher, and big up to New York, we have access to a 403B. That's pretty much standard across the board if you are a teacher or a sanitation. Like I said, any of those, state-run jobs. There's a very, very small percentage of us that also have access to something called the 457. And the video that I think you're referring to is I put retirement's hidden gem, like the ultimate secret. And I did not have access to a 457 when I started at my current employer. So this is kind of important too, to like just drive home. If you don't, get together with some teachers, go to your board and see if you can get this approved. If you're in New York and a bunch of other states, you have a third party intermediary, which is Omni. So if you look up Omni, they're going to be between you, the job, and the different companies. Now, unlike the 401k, in a 403b, yeah, you have a ton of options. And I made a video when I first came out with this, and I said, I had a video that was like, I hate 403bs. 403bs suck the big one. But I was just really uneducated because I went with a 403b plan with a company from what everyone was talking about at work, or the guy that came to our professional development that was really going to help us with our future. We find out now that if you want to do something that's best for you, you have to do it for yourself. Now, with this 403b, there's generally no employee match. So that's kind of off the table. So how will we go about this and those fees and the things I talked about in the video? I'll give you some general rules of thumb and some things that I think about. And then we'll get to the 457 and we should be fine. So when you're looking for a 403b, here's rule number one. If they are not a financial institution, they are an insurance company. I'll give you the example that I use in my video, Voya. We think Voya is a financial institution, but at their core, they are an insurance company. That's rule number one. Like, if you see or you know that they are primarily an insurance company, with a quick Google, get out. Number two, always avoid the word annuity. And annuities can be a completely different episode. I just need you to trust my judgment here and trust my research and just stay away from annuities at all costs. I just cannot figure out a way. I've been trying to figure out a place that an annuity will fit somebody for the benefit. I can't do it yet. I'm sure it's out there and it's probably debatable, but avoid annuities. And those are the two mistakes I made. I went with Voya. They're an insurance company that pushes annuities.
I was just going to say that I still am. Like, I think there's a very small percentage of people to where annuities work. But to cover your back and my back on saying that all annuities are bad, I do think, and I could be wrong on this, I do think there are newer plans starting to come out that don't have like the huge amount of fees that you and I are aware, that's kind of been like the bread and butter of it. See, the reason why, and I don't want to get too far into this because I don't want to get off subject, but the reason why Brad and I are always saying like why we don't like annuities is because they're always backed with a crap ton of fees. And that's why we don't tend to like that.
And they're hard to get out of.
Very hard to get out of. So like that's why we always say like, that's why you might always hear that from like a lot of financial people. I do think they're getting better I don't know. I'm not in annuities at all, but I have heard like the fees have been lowered and stuff like that. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that.
And like I said, I think we can at least find the middle ground that they're not the best option for these tax deferred accounts. Like
definitely.
Maybe somewhere else, maybe, but I think if we're talking strictly the 403b, go for it. The next question I get is like, people always want to know, like, what's my rule of thumb for fees? Because we're not getting that employee match. If you're getting an employee match, even with a high fee in a 401k, I'm going to say take that free money, because the free money you're going to get, now once we get to that employee match, if there's as high fees, you might want to get out and just stop there. But with the 403b, we don't have that. So to me, I think my general rule of thumb, and you have to look, here's one thing you have to understand. Mutual funds and index funds and all these things you hear us talking about, they have something called an expense ratio. So that is that particular mutual fund, the fee to operate that fund, right? VTSAX, which is like my bread and butter, Vanguard charges an expense ratio to operate that fund. Now, an actively managed fund, the fees are ridiculous. These index funds or these total market funds that we talk about, they're great. I'm in VTSAX. It has an expense ratio of 0.04. For me, there's going to be some great target date funds that you can get for maybe 0.15, 0.2 maybe. But once we get to like 0.25, I'm probably going to avoid that fund. I'm just going to avoid it. On top of that, there's going to be administration fees. So you have to kind of dive deep because they don't want to disclose that. They have to, but it's going to be in the fine print somewhere. So it's just a simple phone call like, hey, I'm just curious, what are the fees that I'm paying? Like and I know personally, I found one that I pay a $60 flat fee every single year. I pay it bi-yearly, 30 and 30, and I'm happy with that. But you don't have to be you can say no to the 403B. For some people, they don't have the options and they're like, I got to get out. And that's when you're going to start to look at other avenues and other IRAs and things like that. And we can digress. That's kind of all I really have to say about the 403B. Make sure that it's with a financial institution, probably one that you heard of, okay? Mine is with Vanguard, and I know a lot of my friends, there's a company called Aspire. So if you have Aspire in your plan, a lot of New Yorkers do. Aspire they allow you to invest in bigger companies like Vanguard. So my wife, she invests in Vanguard through Aspire. So look for a financial institution, avoid annuities if you can in this particular case, and look for expense ratios under 0.2 and kind of some sort of set fee every year. I think you'll be okay. Now the fourth
Question on that.
Go ahead.
So I don't know really much of anything about 403Bs. My first question is, do they kind of work the same as 401ks as far as, when you can pull money out? Is it tax deferred? All the typicals of a 401k?
Yeah, that's a great question. As far as like the logistics and the scratch the surface stuff, they act identically
Okay.
to a 401k. So they have the same max currently at the time of this recording, 19.5. And you need to be 59 and a half to withdraw that money out. If you separate from service, you can roll it into your new company. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, and there's going to be a little bit difference with the 457. But as far as the 403B and the 401k, identically the same as far as like tax deferment. They also have Roth, and maybe I'll talk about Roths in a second and when that might be good, because that's a question I get all the time. Should I be doing the Roth? But I want to hit the 457 quick for those people that do. And this is one of those things I beg you, please ask. And I currently am blessed enough where I can max both of those out. But before I could do so, while I was building up over time, I start with the 457 first. And here's the major reason. The 457 acts like the 403B, okay? It acts like a 401k, same max, 19.5, same kind of investment opportunities and things that you can look into. But, and this is a game changer. It really is, and this might even raise the ability to maybe have a little bit higher fee and really tolerate a higher fee. That's going to be up to you. You do not need to wait till you are 59 and a half to withdraw your funds if you leave your job. Legally, it's called separating from service. And that doesn't mean careers. If I change school districts, I can now withdraw that money. It's tax deferred, so it's going to be a taxable event. I take the money out and I pay taxes on it, but no penalties. So for a guy like me that's not going to work until I'm 59 and a half in schools, I wanted to max that out first so that when I retired early, quote unquote, I would have access to that money if I needed it. I don't plan on it. I have kind of like my ducks in a row, but I know that I don't have that 59 and a half hanging over my head like I do with the 403B that I have in my Roth IRAs. That's really the only reason I go that route first. That's really the only reason. And because I have a question actually for JJ, but before I get to that, the Roth versus the regular, it's as simple as this, and I think people try to overlook it and kind of overanalyze it. If you think you are going to make more money in retirement, and whether that's your pension or you're building a real estate portfolio or you have a side hustle, you have businesses, and you think you're going to be taxed more later, okay, you are not going to want to tax defer now. So you'll take the Roth option. You're going to pay the taxes. You're going to take advantage of that $19,500, which is going to be $13,000 more than the current Roth IRA. And then when you retire and you're in a really high tax bracket because of all these things we just discussed, you won't have to pay taxes on it, just like a Roth IRA. this is going to be great as well for people that are new in their careers. So maybe it's not you think you're going to be taxed more in retirement. Maybe you're a new teacher, right? You're at the low end of your salary scale. Boom, blast that Roth IRA because nothing's set in stone. You could always change that. You could change it every other paycheck if you wanted to. Omni's going to hate your guts for it, but if you're a new teacher and you're making, you know what your salary cap is going to be in 5 or 10 years, maybe you want a Roth IRA now and tax defer when you're at max tax. It really up to you and what you think your tax rate is going to be. For me, I love tax deferment. I love not paying taxes now. I'll worry about that ish. Will I make more money? Maybe. But for me, I just take the standard regular. Now, JJ, as somebody that's self-employed, and maybe because I know we have listeners that are, have their own businesses and stuff. You have your Roth IRA, that's fine, but you don't have access to 401ks or 403 or any of this. So what's somebody in your shoes? What are they looking at?
So I want to answer that, but real quick.
Yeah.
I got a question about the 457 because I know absolutely nothing about a 457. So the 457, is that only available to people who are in like public type jobs? And then also, it almost sounds like it's too good to be true. Is it a higher? Because honestly, I have no idea, Brad. Is it higher fees that you're paying for that to have that access to that money earlier, or how's that work?
So I can talk about some things that are a little bit more particular. And this is what you're going to do when you're doing your due diligence and you're doing your research. There are two types of 457. One is governmental and one is not. So if you work for, say, a nonprofit organization, like not a state-run organization, there's one caveat with this 457, and I'm glad you mentioned it. Unlike the 403B and the 401k, it's not protected against debtors. So if you work for, say, a hospital, and that hospital goes bankrupt and people start coming looking for money, if you don't have the specific governmental 457, they can kind of come after that. So this is going to be your nonprofit organizations, or if you work for a private hospital, very, very, very small percentage of people, and they need to disclose that to you. As far as the fees, my fees for my 457, this sounds ridiculous. It does sound too good to be true, are actually less. Because, so my 457 is operated through the New York State Deferred Compensation, and I pay $20 bi-yearly, so I pay a $40 flat fee, and I do not have VTS and X, and so I guess people that hear me talk like I have VTS-AX with the exception of my 457. In my 457, I have an S&P 500 that is sponsored through BlackRock, and it has an expense ratio of 0.01%.
Wow.
So for those of you that don't know, that is $1 for every $10,000 invested. And once again, VTS-AX, my golden child, my bread and butter is 0.04%. So no, it doesn't necessarily come with higher fees. And depending where you're at, I know that if you work in New York State, I have not talked to anybody in New York State that has the 457 option that is not through the New York State Deferred Compensation. That's my only choice for that one. So it was make it or take it or break it, and which made it easy because it was like, all right, let's find out what the fees are. Are they acceptable for me? And if not, I'm going to get the hell out of here. And there's a couple of people at work, we kind of know who the financial people are at work. And I'm like, does that same thing? Like, yo, did you see that expense ratio? What's the catch? And they're like, I don't think there's a catch. And I called them. I'm like, listen, I know what I'm talking about here. Tell me what the catch is. Like, let's cut the BS.
Yeah.
Let's not beat around the bush here.
I mean, that's the first thing I would think of if I saw something like that and I knew I was able to take the money out early if I changed jobs or whatever it was. I mean,
yeah, let's think about this. I put $19,500 aside that's tax deferred. So if I'm in a 30% tax bracket, which is pretty reasonable, every time I invest $1, I put 30 cents back in my pocket to do whatever I want with. When I retire, if I want to retire, I plan on retiring in about 2 years when my kids go to school. I'll be 41 years old. So that saves me 18 years that I have to wait for my money. And the fees are stupid manageable. Yeah, no, it's not too good to be true. But the thing is, not a lot of people have it. So I work in a very, very good district with a very, very strong union and very, very smart, savvy people. I'm not saying like if you don't have it, you work in a dumb district. But I have a lot of teachers in my district that we advocate for ourselves. I remember when I started there, and I remember when we had Voya and a couple others, and we were like, we want Vanguard in this building. I'm wearing my Vanguard red. We want Vanguard in this building. And they tried to be like, Yeah, but we have people that you have to advocate for yourself when it comes to things like this.
That's huge, by the way. And that I don't want anybody to take that lightly because that can definitely make changes, even in just like a typical workplace.
Yeah.
If you get enough of the employees around together to kind of like build a team and say, listen, this is the 401k we have, and it's complete dog shit. Brad, you can edit that out if you need to.
No.
But I mean, like, the fees are all, 0.5% or higher. There's nothing good in here for us. We want to advocate to this company to switch to, XYZ, Fidelity, Vanguard, whatever that may be.
It wasn't as hard as we thought. And it really was as simple as us, the union, because they didn't want to do the legwork, right? The board didn't want to, human resource, they didn't want to do the legwork. But it was very, very hard for the board. I remember this when we got the Vanguard, which took probably like 2 years of getting our ducks in a row, talking to the right people. And it was as simple as coming up with a presentation that said, look, here's how much it's going to cost the district. And here's, in this case, we actually saved money by dropping somebody else. So we said, here's one company that we currently have, and this is how much the district is paying them. And this is our other option that we're proposing to you. You're going to save, the district's going to save money. Not to mention, it's better for the employees. So the employees, it looks better on you guys as the district and the board to be giving your teachers the best possible options. And what school district or what company is going to be like, wait, you're saving us money and you're benefiting everybody?
Yeah.
And that's essentially what happened with Vanguard. And
I mean, take it a step further and create a damn PowerPoint and call a meeting and just do a quick presentation. I mean, like, honestly, if you took the time, if you took the time to do that, I feel like a company or like your managers, whoever can go up to the higher ups, like I feel like that right there would speak for itself.
especially if you're in a union, that's why you pay union dues. And like I said, there's a lot of non-confrontational, and it's not even a confrontation. And JJ, you've been out of school for a long time. We don't use PowerPoints anymore, but we some called a Google Doc, but or a Zoom call,
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
if you see
geez,
by
that's
my
funny.
laser pointer up here on the screen,
on the projector.
yeah. No, we don't do that anymore. But yeah, no,
Oh,
it
geez.
really is as simple. And you get a couple people together, and you might say no, but just like anything, you have to be your greatest advocate. As teachers, especially, most of our salaries are pretty set. So when I read these financial books and I read like, negotiating your salary or it's time to go talk for a raise, I can't do that. My salary is set. But that doesn't mean I can't advocate. And your advocation, is that even, I don't even know.
Dude, you're asking the wrong man about a word.
You might be saying to yourself, hey, how can we get in touch with a company like Omni, who's a mediator for us, and how can we add the 457? How much is it going to cost my district to add the 457 and give us this opportunity? That might be something. Maybe you have Aspire or Vanguard or some of these. Maybe you have access to Fidelity, Charles Schwab, some of these big companies that aren't kicking you in the face. And maybe you want to try and get that 457. It does not hurt to say, hey, can you, as the board, can you give me a reason why we do not have access to a 457? Because my husband, my wife, my best friend, Brad Finn on YouTube, has access to a 457 at a lower fee than I'm paying, which is going to benefit him, which is going to make his family better, and it's going to make me and it's going to make him want to be an employee at that district longer. I want to feel the same way, and make them tell you no. What are they going to say?
Yeah.
The
worst they can say is no, and you're right back to where you were.
Yeah. What are you're not going to ask the hot girl to prom because you're afraid she's going to say no? Of course she's going to say no to you. You're 165 pounds and you play the violin. I digress, but like, all right, no. The violin becomes the guitar, people. The violin becomes the guitar, I promise. But JJ, I think we have a little bit of time because we try and keep these short and sweet, but this is important stuff. And I know I taught you something about the 457. I have no freaking idea what the SEP IRA is. It's almost embarrassing, and I probably just lost 20,000 subscribers because everyone thinks I'm smart. And only because, like I said, you don't know what a 457 is because it's never come across your desk.
Yep.
But as somebody that's now, we just started a business, and YouTube just became a formal business for me. It's no longer a sole prop for me. So can I open a SEP with my business, or how does it work?
Yeah, so a SEP IRA first is, most commonly used or set up by self-employed people. And to answer your question real quick, Brad, yes, if you have a business, an LLC, or something like that that's generating income, you can open up a SEP IRA to invest inside that investment vehicle.
Even if I have a 401k and stuff like that in my
Yep.
W-2?
Yep.
Wow.
Now, I do want to say that. Now, you bring up a great point. Yes, you can do that.
Okay.
But you need I would highly, highly recommend everyone looking or talking to their accountant, their CPA about that, because there's kind of some some thin lines there where if you put in too much here and you put too much here, that's kind of above my pay grade.
Okay.
So I'd highly recommend. I'm going to push that off to the accountant, to be honest, and
Right.
make sure you talk to him
Mhm.
and make sure everything's kind of set in stone if you are doing that. But yes, if you own a business, an LLC, you're self-employed, and you still have a job, again, talk to your accountant to make sure that that's 100% correct. But you should be able to set up a SEP IRA. Now, a SEP IRA works exactly. There's a couple little differences I'll get into, but if you think of a SEP IRA, think of a traditional IRA.
Okay.
Boom, that's it.
Tax deferred.
Tax deferred. You put your money in, non-taxed, so you're getting a discount in taxable income the year you're putting the money in because it goes in non-taxed.
So it's almost a tax deduction.
Exactly. So it's a tax write-off.
Can I ask, you might know the answer to this question, maybe not. I know that with pro rata for say the backdoor Roth, which I have to do because I exceed the income limit, they say make sure all of your other IRAs are empty. Like you have no other money in tax deferred. That probably breaks the pro rata rule for me or somebody that used the backdoor Roth, right?
I would guess probably, but again,
I got a lot of
talk
questions
to
for
your
I
CPA.
got Matt Biggin.
Yeah.
If Matt Biggin at MRB Accounting, the dude's a effing legend. I almost try and stump that dude every day. Now I got the question for Matt. I'm even going to text him tomorrow on a holiday and be like, yo, Matt, what's up with this SEP IRA?
Do it and let us know. I mean, because to be honest, that's why that's why Brad and I both hire CPAs, is because when it comes to taxes and all that stuff, I don't spend my time every day looking at taxes, because that's why I pay someone to do that.
I pay somebody to fill my cavities for a reason. Yeah, I could probably
Exactly.
look it up on YouTube, but I'm sure
That's a whole nother episode, to be honest.
I'm sure
why we hire CPAs.
Yeah, I will probably get my accountant in here because he's, like I said, he is really awesome. But
That'd be a good one.
all right, so essentially, just now, can I ask this? Why not just the traditional IRA? Why the SEP over that, or is that a rabbit hole we don't need to get down tonight?
No, that's actually what I'm getting to next. So with my SEP, so with a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, the max I can put in there right now is $6,000 per year. So here's the cool part with the SEP IRA is I can contribute up to 25% of my income through my business, or $57,000 for 2020. So it's whatever you hit first. If it's 25% of your income, or if it's 57,000 in 2021, it's going up to 58,000, still 25%.
So the traditional IRA is the same as the Roth, essentially, with as far as the contribution limit.
Yeah. Yes, the traditional IRA and the Roth IRA
Right.
have the same contribution limit. When you're talking about a SEP IRA, that's a much higher limit because it's for a self-employed. It's usually for a self-employed business owner. Here's the cool thing about a SEP, though. You can also, if you have employees, which I don't, but if you have employees, you can also open up employees in your smaller business or whatever it may be. Your employees can have SEP IRAs as well that you can contribute to.
So that's double the 401k too, essentially, more than double.
Yep.
And you said 25% of, so is that 25% of what you pay yourself salary? Because we get into corporations and things like that. Like in a corporation, you take a salary, but you also can take contributions and things like that. Is it 25% of what you pay yourself in salary, or what the business brings in?
I knew you were going to ask that question, and I'm going to say this: talk to your CPA.
Okay.
Because this is my first year having that. This is my first year having the SEP.
No, dude, we'll learn together. We'll follow up and come back to it. And maybe somebody else, please. We have 1,000 people in the Discord right now. Maybe somebody
Right.
can let us know. Answer my question. Number one, does that F up my pro rata rule? And B, is it the regular salary? 25% of the regular, because I can see the IRS being like,
Yes.
well, you
Dude,
said you paid
did
yourself
this. Yeah.
$6,000, but your business brought in $100K. and you put in 50 grand, like what I'm sure the IRS is not, there's loopholes and there's legal loopholes, but they're not dumb.
Yeah, I would definitely say Brad, I knew you were going to ask that, but I would say talk to your CPA because that is something him and I are planning on talking about in come probably within the next couple weeks, to be honest, when I go in and do my business taxes.
I think we just voicemailed ourselves.
We did. I mean, we really did. This is
a phone call that we had.
This is literally, I mean, yeah, we just press record this time. But I mean, everything else is pretty much the same, man. Like, you know, you can take your money out at 59.5. You got to pay taxes on it, just like you would a traditional IRA. The other thing I will say though, real quick, I did a little bit of research on this before we hopped on today's episode because I knew what voicemail we were going to be playing. I got to say this. I need to take some more time to look into a solo 401k. I'm going to leave it at that. I can't take any questions because it's something I don't know much about. But the quick research I was doing, I'm like, oh, there's a potential to even put in more money than what I can put in my SEP IRA. Now, again, this is a complete newbie talking about this.
Yo, Discord, help us out.
Yeah, no doubt. We got any CPAs out in the Discord? Let us know. But yeah, so that's something I do want to spend a little bit more time on talking about or not talking about, really thinking about is what really is my best bet here, a solo 401k or a SEP IRA. So, guys, I'm brand new to the entrepreneur space. So I do need to take some more time to look into these two different options.
Like I said, we're going to learn together, and
yep.
We never came on this podcast to claim that we knew everything. We were professionals, and
so freaking true.
We're gonna screw up sometimes too. So like,
we're freaking average dudes, man. Come on now.
Before we get you out of here, and before you sign us off, JJ, number one, very nice young lady left this voicemail, and I'm sure you pressed anonymous didn't know that you could leave your name. Hop in that Facebook group, please. Let us know so we can give you proper credit. I would like to say your name, and like I said, unless you want to remain anonymous, that's fine. And like I said, guys, the Patreon Discord group is going strong. It's doing amazing. That somebody said today, I think they're like, wow, it's starting to get a little more active. When there was only a couple people in there, but now it's getting really active. And I do want to say, just before JJ signs us off, that I did go through that quickly with the 457. If you're a teacher, cop, doctor, nurse, if you are one of those and you want more information, get in touch with me through the Discord. At me, make sure you at me because I get a lot of comments. So make sure I get that notification. I'll send you the video you need to see, and we can talk about it personally, because the 457, I swear it is that good. It is that good.
Post your we'll put your video link in the show notes.
Yeah. If I can't get it in the live Podbean one or the audio, I'll make sure I put it in the video one as well, because I can't wait to flex on my new background.
Let's go, baby.
Channel.
Hey, real quick, Brad.
Yeah.
Before I sign us off here, I do want to read a review. We've had a few reviews come in over on the Apple Podcast. Guys, if you don't know that, you guys can leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts, and I'll tell you this, it really does help us out, because that's kind of a way Apple Podcasts ranks, newer podcasts.
It's the only way.
Yeah, I mean, so those, I know Brad and I say that, but it really does help us out. Like, if there's one way you could help support the podcast, it would go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. But I want to read one that we got recently. We got it on Tuesday, I believe. It comes from JLH888, and it says, "Thank you," with exclamation points. 5-star review, by the way.
Yes.
It says, "Until I found the YouTube channel and this podcast, I purposely ignored my debt and finances because they horrified me. My wife and I are lucky to have good paying jobs, but our financial choices are keeping us from paying off debt and starting our real estate investment dream. On top of that, we just had a little girl. Congrats, by the way. I've learned so much from listening to this podcast. These guys are brilliant at breaking down financial topics for average guys like me who just want to get their financial life together. I've made a lot of accomplishments that I'm very proud of since listening, but I won't bore everyone who's reading this. Just listen. Cheers, guys."
Beautiful. Dude sounds a lot like me, man.
Yeah, it really does.
Good.
It really does.
Good paying. We talked about it in the debt episode. Good paying job. And I thought that I was the guy that Didn't have to worry about money because I always had money coming in. And I'll tell you this, focus on that debt and get it done because, children are great. And God willing, you're probably going to have a second one. And then you'll head to the doctor. And then, but yeah, no, it's, we've mentioned before, and we mentioned it on Monday's episode that just came out. When we read that review, there is no better feeling in the world than hearing people are debt free, because all of these investing formalities and things aside, when you are debt free, it is so hard to screw up your financial future. When you are debt free, it makes it fun again. You have a feeling that how good you felt when your baby girl came into this world. It's a different, because when you pay off your debt, that's something you do for yourself. It's like you're reborn. Because especially if you've been struggling in debt for a while, you feel that burden, you feel that weight hanging on your shoulders. You don't think you can ever he said he was terrified. Like, please, I beg everybody. And I want to give a quick shout out to somebody in my Discord, Ryan, and he's also a Patreon member inside the Average Money Discord. And
shout out Ryan.
We talked to him about, hey man, I'm not telling you what to do. You're a young gun. I know you have a little consumer debt and you want to trade options with us and you want to be a part of that crowd. I'm begging you, we'll be here when you're ready to trade options. We'll be here when you're ready to talk stocks. We'll be here. But I'm promising you that you are going to have more fun doing that if you knocked out your consumer debt. And he pulled the old sold off his Robinhood portfolio and paid off his debt. So, Ryan, I heard you. I saw that. And good for you, brother. And I told you won't regret it. You don't know it yet. It's still fresh in his mind. We're posting in the Discord, all of our portfolios doing well. And he's like, womp, womp, mine's down to 3,000. But I promise you, Ryan, you'll be good to go. JJ, get us out of here, buddy. And then I'll speak for future Brad and JJ. Let's go have a beer. Let's get on the lawn,
baby.
Let's get on the lawnmower. Let's go down to the local bar there in Missouri. Let's have ourselves a cocktail.
Oh, it's definitely gonna happen, man. Yeah, I can't wait for that to get here.
And hold on, let me cut you off one more time.
All right, go ahead.
We are planning on doing some work when I'm there. So the next however many episodes,
hopefully like a month,
we're gonna be in the same room.
Yep.
Another chip.
One more chip.
All right, buddy, get us out of here.
All right, guys. Hey, for real, everyone who's listening up to this point, I mean, seriously, thank you guys so much for listening. I got to say this. If you haven't left us a voicemail, if you haven't left us a question, there's a link down in the show notes. You click that link, you get about 90 seconds to leave your question, and Brad and I will be able to showcase, like we do all these other ones here live on the podcast. And to be honest, I think these are we say this all the time, dude. Like, these become our favorite episodes.
It's gonna become
because we get to connect. Yes, we get to connect with the listeners. We get to answer there. We get to hear their voices and everything. It's amazing.
It's gonna become the show one day.
That's all
That's all we're gonna do one day is just keep answering yeah, dope, go.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say, Brad?
No, man, I feel like we say the same ish over and over
I know.
again, man.
I know.
We're so happy. But it's so true, man.
It's seriously the truth.
It's so incredible.
Yep.
I don't even think about YouTube when I'm doing this with you.
Me neither. I would love. Yeah, I'll just say this. I love the podcast, man. I love the podcast, and I love where this community is going. I really do.
It's because the YouTube channel is Brad Finn. The YouTube channel is JJ Buckner. I can't wait for the day when we're at an Average Money party and people don't even know who we look like. We're just walking around and people have no idea. And then we're talking to people, we're shooting the ish, we're drinking some whiskey. And then we do a podcast episode live and we get up on stage and someone's like, wait, I've been talking to you all night?
Yes.
And I'm like, well, you didn't recognize my voice. Well, that's kind of weird because that's all you know me by. But yeah, no, dude, this is our dream. This is where our futures are going. And Joe Rogan, watch out, bro.
Let's go, baby. Average Money's taking over. No, seriously though. I mean, Average Money is a community, guys. It's not about Brad. It's not about JJ. It's about the Average Money community. It's a bunch of average people doing above average things with money. Above average things with money. So, guys, again, real quick, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you all so much for listening. Again, leave the voicemail. Leave us the questions if you haven't already. And until the next one, you guys, take care.